Peter Kisel is a CTO with experience in full stack development, DevOps, and agile methodologies. He is very passionate about technology and sustainability and work life balance. Let's chat with him on the same topic in this episode. This is the Guiding Voice podcast series, the Guiding Voice for a better future. Friends, I am your host Naveen Samala, just a fellow professional on a mission to make the world a beautiful and wonderful place to live. Through the Guiding Voice, we drive conversations that matter and conversations that add value to your life and to your career. Thank you so much for joining me. And Peter, hearty welcome to the Guiding Voice. I'm on a new initiative at this moment, trying to talk to experts from various countries. And I think you are from Prague. So probably we can briefly talk about the culture part of Prague before we get into the conversation. And once again, hearty welcome to the Guiding Voice.
Sure, and thank you so much for having me, Naveen. So yeah, let's start about Prague. Prague has become a very cosmopolitan city, I would say, and it also kind of becomes like the tech hubs of Central Europe. So yeah, it's very vibrant. There's like a lot of things to do, not just in terms of startups. There's a lot of them, sprouting every second week or so. There's a lot of culture happening here, and the cultures are kind of like mixing here. So yeah, the base is still kind of like the Czech and Slovak culture. I'm originally actually from Slovakia, so I joined or I moved to Prague, a few years ago. And never really looked back. I was living in a couple of other cities before that as well. But Prague is kind of like very nice city as well, just in general, like for sightseeing and just generally enjoying life.
Nice to know that, and I wish I get an opportunity to visit and meet you there in Prague, Peter.
Sure, man.
And at the same time, I extend the invite to join me in Hyderabad, just in case if you happen to visit India. Hyderabad is a lovely place.
All right. Perfect. Sounds good.
Perfect. Let's move ahead. And in your journey as a CTO, right, I think what are the top 3 things that have attributed to your success so far?
All right. Yeah. It's actually not easy to choose just 3, but there's always like a multitude of reasons. But yeah, first of all, like living my life as it's my choice. So basically just choosing my path and walking it very humbly and not really caring like what the others do. Just do stuff my own way and not harming people. This is kind of like one of my personal mantra to not harm people on my way. I mean, wherever it takes me. Yeah. So basically living a life based on a conscious choice. That would be number 1. Number 2 would be having a life partner who embraces kind of like my principles as well. So minimal waste, sustainability, but also like honesty and personal integrity and minimalism. All this helps a lot. So you want to have a good career, get a good life partner. And number 3, it would be a funny answer, but I would say like Harvey Specter, who is a character from the US series called Suits. And he has like this famous saying called like, I don't have dreams, I have goals. So, I mean, I guess this is again about making conscious choices in the first place. But, every dream, you can't actually have a project plan for every single dream that you have and make it, if you are persistent in drilling down level by level, asking the questions like, in order to do this, how do I get there? How do I get there? And just dissecting into small tasks. I think at some point, you're not dreaming anymore. You're just fulfilling your goals, right?
Yeah.
And good things might happen if you just follow along.
Yeah. This is the second instance of Harvey Specter on this show. In fact, recently one of the other guests also mentioned he would, if given a chance, he would want to play the role of Harvey Specter.
Oh my God! Yeah.
Good,
okay. I'm not surprised.
Yeah. And also one thing what I liked most is you mentioned about life partner, right? Yeah, I think they play a critical role. Having a supportive life partner is crucial for everybody's success. And yeah, thanks for acknowledging that. And on that note, let's move to the core of today's topic. Like you are super fascinated about technology and sustainability, right? Where does it all start? And why are you so fascinated about technology and sustainability?
So for me, I mean, I'm fascinated by puzzles and riddles and challenges that are kind of almost impossible to solve. So where there's like no obvious solution. Since I was a child, I wanted to do things like nobody else wanted to have even touch. And climate change and sustainability is currently kind of like the biggest problem humanity has, I would say. Even though like there's of course like big problems all around the world, right? But yeah, so I was very naturally drawn to look for solutions there as well. And then technology. I mean, technology is just a tool, but yeah, it's with me since the early childhood. And I mean, but the fascinating thing is that there's actually a connection between the two of them, like sustainability and technology. I didn't really perceive it. Maybe others do have it otherwise, but I didn't see it. It wasn't so obvious to me. But this combination is really, really interesting for me and fascinating.
And it is the need of the hour as well. Like I think we as techies have to do our best in terms of how can we leverage technology and develop sustainable solutions as well. Yeah. So Peter, now let's talk about how can these businesses leverage technology to make their operations more environmentally friendly.
Yeah, sure. So my first answer would be actually like very you wouldn't suspect it. I would say like use communication tools to make sure that all the people in your business, in your company, know that your intention is to go green, and also do tell them why it is so important. I mean, without shifting the mindset of your business, of the people in your business, it's going to be like an uphill battle, and it's not going to be very easy, and you're gonna experience pushbacks, people asking like why should I do this. So everybody needs to be on board, and so basically the key thing is use communication tools to shift mindset first, as a first thing. Then second thing for me would be like education. A lot of education happens online nowadays. So use technology to spread knowledge about sustainability. That would be my second. And then when the people kind of like know why and how and what, they will kind of look for the essential details and pick up the minutiae of sustainability themselves, like using less or no paper, switching lights off when they don't need it, and things about this. Like, so it's about small but continual increments. But I think the key still in these days is spreading the knowledge and spreading kind of like the green vision. And yeah, well, then there's like, in terms of specifically technology, there's like two streams that you can do. Like one is direct footprint reduction. So you basically just host your server or use low power appliances or servers. High efficiency is the other way around. Again, it's about like consumption. Running on renewable energy is again something that is great for sustainability, and it's the things that you can have like direct impact. If you are for some reason not able to do that, then there's also always like offsetting, but it's kind of, to me, it comes as a like paying for an excuse to not do like sustainability. So, but you can still do it. I mean, there's initiatives that plant trees for every ton of CO2 to compensate. It's basically about compensation. So your provider can compensate in other different ways the created carbon footprint. But yeah, for me, it would be always like the preferred way would be to have a look on the consumption and lower the consumption instead of offsetting. And last but not least, I would say like avoid greenwashing like plague, because I mean, greenwashing, just to briefly explain, is to use like sustainable terms to show you in a like more sustainable way, but you don't directly do it, are not sustainable. And I mean, we are fortunately for humanity, I would say, most people already can see through, and there's also legislation, at least in Europe, being like passed around to identify greenwashing. And suddenly there's a lot of companies that are being exposed for greenwashing, and you want to avoid that. Also for like internal culture, but also for like external PR. So yeah, I think that's about it.
And in this process, right, what do you see as the biggest challenges in using technology to address sustainability issues, and how can they be overcome?
Yeah. The biggest challenge, I think, is low level of knowledge still of how to do impact. So how you can address is education. So you can run education in your business yourself, or encourage your people to educate themselves. It's very easy to Google stuff. There's a lot of communities that trying to do a difference. There's a lot of great documentaries. One I can mention that I really loved is 2040. Start following change makers, and of course you can start with the usual suspects like Greta Thunberg, who is a great role model, I would say, for our children mostly. But there's also others. I just recently found a guy named Carlos Terol, who has a great community called The Good Ripple. And there's a lot of insight there.
Yeah.
So that would be, I think, the biggest challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And then other challenges are low level of motivation. So some people don't know, they feel like, I have my comfort and I don't want to do sustainable things. But then again, you can motivate them other way around. So for example, if you are in a business to business, you can try to explore monetary savings. If saving your planet isn't your top priority, then maybe saving money is, and this is what can go hand in hand. It's not the ideal scenario, but it's possible. Then in general, we're talking about technology, right? So high energy consumption still in technology appliances and servers, and also bad karma of crypto mining. There's a huge percentage already of carbon footprint being generated by crypto mining. And what we don't see is that a lot of energy comes from coal, which is basically the most unsustainable energy. Coal energy is the most unsustainable energy ever. And in order to crypto, you need to have a lot of energy, a lot of machines, and you need to have cheap energy, and coal is the cheapest one. And then you basically just use coal energy to solve useless problems, just to get some monetary value. That is, I think, kind of uncertain still, but we don't know the benefit just yet of crypto. And last but not least, consumerism is the biggest problem of general of mankind. We always want to have more stuff, more things. We kind of feel like we need more things in our households or in our life every day. Sometimes it's about social status. But ultimately, it comes down to consuming more things that we by far need. And this is kind of one of the problems. I don't see a solution just yet, but it can come from knowledge, from education, and from motivation, from the things that I mentioned.
I think we need to spread this knowledge and create awareness. And in fact, when you mentioned about Greta Thunberg, one girl named struck my mind. Her name is Lysipriya Kanjugam. She's from northeast part of India, and I met her last year at a conference in Bangalore. And that girl is running a movement called the Child Movement, and she's also focusing on saving the climate crisis. And she has been representing India in various forums related to the COP and all other environment related one. I think, as you said, we need to focus on educating and make it very clear in terms of making people aware what happens if we don't act now, right? So especially technologies come with a boon, but understand their bane as well. What are the side effects? Especially you highlighted the one related to crypto mining and the blockchain, because it requires a lot of power to run those servers, and we got to be cautious and do the trade-offs before leveraging those kind of technologies. And
yes, exactly.
This is great. So Peter, now let's talk about what inspired you to work in the impact startup space, and what motivates you to continue doing so, because this is a kind of field where not everybody is keen on supporting us, right? People like us, like people like you especially, and it takes a lot of courage to continue, and also a lot of persistence is required, in my opinion. So what actually motivated you to start, and how are you persevering on this?
Oh yeah, what a question! How much time do we have for this one? All right. So I mean, I usually when somebody asks me something similar, I always need to start with a story. That I basically have to say that I ended up in the impact sphere by accident. But it always kind of was part of me because I was like being part of Burning Man culture. I mean, for most of the people, it's dusty hippies, taking drugs in the desert, but there's like a large community of change makers going there. And basically there's like one of the principles of living in the desert is leave no trace. Basically imagine that you live a very minimalistic life for 2 weeks in the desert. That kind of like changes your life and your perspective. So I'm part of the community for several years already. And I'm very happy I found them, and it changed my perspectives. And of course, like meeting my life partner at basically the same point when I had to kind of like make the choice to move to Prague during COVID, and stumbling upon a job position in an impact startup that kind of like look exactly in a way that I wanted at that given point. And almost is like, so, well, basically it's a very happy accident, but I tend to say that the universe has a plan, right? So this is how I basically started. And what I found was a set of very unique problems that are not easy to solve. And this kind of like gets me going. And you can basically in the impact sphere, it's not called impact sphere it's called impact sphere for a reason, right? Because you can actually like perceive it very, very quickly. Sometimes you can perceive it that authorities or kind of like that authorities basically start speaking about your company, which happens to us during the COP summit in Sharm el Sheikh last year. There was like a panel that was listing like 40 startups that will change the world, 40 sustainable startup, and we were part of it. And I mean, I'm not particularly happy because like between the lines they are saying like, hey, we like leave this problematics to we leave this problem to the 40 startups in the world, and have our political agenda on top of that. That's you can actually like keep going by looking at the numbers. So for example, in my company, saved 500,000 of tons of CO2 in the past 12 months. It's next to 500,000 tons of CO2, which is an equivalent of like 8 million trees producing oxygen over 10 years, or the other way around, actually, offsetting CO2 over 10 years. Or 1.2 billion miles that were driven by an average car. So it's actually like the number is not that small. And what keeps me going? I mean, I tend to say that I'm on a lifelong quest to look for like balance of humanity and nature and things like this. It's kind of like a noble goal. But as far as the documented history remembers, I mean, mankind kind of tends to swing from one extreme to another extreme, and I kind of don't want to. I want to avoid this. That we go from like a consumerism lifestyle into something that will kill humanity even sooner, like trying to go wild and do like eco wars or something like this, which can happen. As I said, like documented history remembers a lot, and for example, in other spheres, you have like in March you were doing this fantastic series of female founders and female like female hosts on your podcast. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
And this is another topic like that needs to have balance. I mean, like I feel like patriarchy should die, but then again, we shouldn't substitute it with matriarchy because we just would swing to the other side of the spectrum. And there, I think kind of like it's a cosmic goal almost, but balance and equality should be name of the game, I feel, for all human beings in all genders, in conjunction with nature, and nobody oppressing anybody, with everybody having the same opportunities to thrive. I think like we are nature's partner here, not the oppressor, but also not the servant.
Yeah. No, good one. I think you highlighted a lot of points, okay, which are kind of amazing numbers that you have shared in terms of saving 500,000 tons of CO2 in last 12 months. That is not easy. And also, you highlighted one aspect, like the set of problems that are not easy to solve, which is actually making you to persevere, right? So, can you share
Yeah,
with
yeah.
our audience what are some of the unique challenges and opportunities facing impact startups compared to other types
Hmm.
of startups?
Yeah. Okay. So, for challenges, I think like one of the challenge that we don't even yet perceive like fully is that we're talking about sustainability here, but I wouldn't say that sustainability is the end goal, because I think like from terms of like terminology, sustainability means that we come to a point where we are limiting our impact and that it's not getting worse.
Mm,
But then the next phase is called restoration, where we get back to a healthy state, or Earth gets to and ecosystems get into a healthy state. And then stage 3 is regeneration. So everybody kind of like is able to maintain and regenerate and stays in the in a very healthy state.
yeah.
And this is like this is for generations to come to solve. And we are still scratching the surface with sustainability. This I would say is the challenge, that we don't see what's ahead. Um, One very specific thing in like in impact startups is that impact or seeing impact is driving people, and
Yeah.
often into terrible burnout. So
Mm,
I'm already like I have some experience myself with burnout, so I don't want to repeat that one. But what I need to do, for example, specifically in my team, is encourage them to take vacation, to not spend 16 hours per day working and coding. But it's not because they fear me as a boss. It's not that they fear that they will get like laid off.
mm,
It's not the fear that they will not have enough money or a good career. It's actually the other way around. They are so driven by the impact goal that it's very, very difficult to stop
mm.
doing what you actually love and see that it's making an impact. So yeah, let's speak more about the opportunities. Basically,
Yeah.
the opportunity is here to literally like save the world. I mean, if there's not a bigger goal, then I don't see a bigger goal than this
Yeah.
one, right? And
Yeah.
basically a great opportunity is basically to see the change in yourself after some time, and see the change, for example, in the customers. If you
Yeah.
have a business and you see you're doing like sustainable impact things, and then you suddenly see that your customers have gone from
Yeah.
a tobacco factory that's like basically just not doing anything for sustainability, to actually just having like a one department that just goes around and makes sure that all the operations are sustainable, at
Mm.
least. So they are even moving towards like regeneration and restoration.
Good. Awesome. And Peter, let's assume somebody who is running a startup or who is part of this a social or environmental impact of a startup. How can we measure the success, right? And how do we balance these goals against the other business priorities?
Yeah, sure. Great question. So basically, to measure environmental impact is rather easy nowadays
Mm.
with like tangible KPIs or tangibles. I would say I don't like the word KPI or um this like acronym. But I mentioned like CO2 saved. This is one key metric that we are looking at. If you can at least kind of like compute it, actually, like businesses in at least in Europe, the legislation is coming that they will need to actually tell and report metrics on ESG, and they need to report like what they actually do for sustainability, which is great. That there's a number for it. And then there's some not measurable things like social impact. I mean, for us, it's rather hard for the business that I work for, because we are like a B2B, so we don't necessarily see the impact on a one person. But then again,
Mm.
like it's visible in numbers usually, and you can kind of like perceive the vibe. And yeah, and in terms of like balance, you still need to keep in mind that it's a business, right? And it
Yeah.
needs to earn a lot of money to sustain itself. Again, like sustainability in all places. But at some point, you have your family, and you need to also like make sure that they have what they need for life, and not necessarily like tons more. So you need to have like a salary, and you need to make sure that you have like everything that you need to run your business. So at least some space to sit and communicate and socialize. Socialization is very important in the business. Because this like energy for impact is very contagious, and if you sit with people that are like equally they have your equal vibe towards like sustainability and towards everything green, then the energy gets multiplied.
Great, impactful conversation so far. Let's add some spice as well, Peter. I'm going to kick off a quick rapid fire round.
All right, let's do that.
Let's do that. Okay, here comes the first bullet. If you could have one gigantic billboard anywhere with anything on it, what would it say?
Seek balance.
Seek balance. Oh, nice. Okay, here comes my next one. If you are given an option to choose between invisibility versus super strength, which one would you choose and why?
Invisibility. I would choose invisibility because I sometimes, really appreciate to have my own space and nobody, bothering me.
Okay, fair enough. And can you describe yourself in just one word?
Resilient.
Resilient. And what is the weirdest thing that you have ever eaten so far?
It was just recently, and it was a fruit called chirimoya. Super sweet, very interesting taste.
Oh, where did you eat?
In Spain.
Spain, okay. And Peter, would you like to share any secret or hidden fact that you haven't disclosed anywhere with our audience?
All right. I mean, I'm usually like very open, but the thing that not really people know about me is that I never smoked a cigarette in my entire life.
Oh, wow. And with that, let me fire the last bullet. What is one electronic gadget that you would like to see or invent yourself?
Yeah, that's rather easy. I would love to have a gadget that would switch off everything digital in a range I can define. So just for myself or for the whole like apartment or for the whole city, just to make sure that the people around me can have a possibility to switch off.
Yeah, good one. I think again that goes back to your cause for the sustainability and also the being environmentally friendly. I loved it. And with that, let's flip back to the mainstream. And what are some common mistakes that leaders make when expanding their teams, and how can they be avoided?
That's a very good question. I did a lot of those mistakes myself. So first and foremost, I think like you're building a team and you're not hiring. What you're not doing is hiring a bunch of charismatic individuals. So what you're basically looking for is always like a sense of diversity. And it's not actually, I try to not hire people that I like in the first place, because I also need a little bit of conflict, a little bit of like different opinions. So, keeping your team heterogenic, diverse is very, very important. Yeah. And, to solve this, it's basically like rather easy. Just, have just make a conscious decision that you will hire a person that is I'd rather the missing piece of the puzzle than somebody who's like very easygoing and talkative in the first place. So then what's next? One important mistake is often it's the case that your boss is actually building your team and not you. So make sure that you're building your team, and do not let your bosses or like, key stakeholders or investors mess with your values, and also like not with your plan, because they are not the ones that will be working directly with those people that you hire and that you build a team from. You will be responsible. You will the person who will be managing and leading them and making sure they thrive. So don't let your bosses speak into it that much. They might give you a really great second opinion, but don't let them do the hiring.
Yeah.
And once you have your team members, then make sure that they grow where they want and not where you want. This is one of the key mistakes I made several times in my past, that I had kind of like I saw a person, and that person had a specific set of competencies, and I was like, yeah, okay, let's make him a leader in the long run, because I feel like he's like really, or she's like really good, without asking them actually first what they want to do in life. So nowadays, whenever we are speaking about like personal development with my team, the first question is, and always should be, where do you want to grow?
Fabulous. I loved every bit of those insights. I think these are really powerful, and in fact, it will definitely help people, okay, who are planning to expand their teams and all the leaders out there. Wonderful. And with that, let me ask you final feedback about how was your experience being hosted on the Guiding Voice platform.
It was very refreshing. Refreshing is the word that comes to my mind, and I always try to speak my mind out. No, really, I liked it. I think like the whole structure was kind of like flowing, and the answers like were coming very natural. So I really do hope that it was insightful for the listeners of the podcast, and yeah, it was really nice. It was really nice.
Thank you, and absolutely, it is going to help our audience, and you have shared a lot of insights which we have to think through, and very actionable insights as well. And thank you so much, Peter, for joining me today and spending your valuable time besides sharing some amazing insights, and really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right. So it was a pleasure to host you, Peter. And friends, that was our episode with Peter Kisel. And before we move into the trivia section, here's a request to you. Please subscribe to us in case if you haven't done already. Also, if you have loved this conversation and found the episode useful, request you to share with at least 3 of your friends or colleagues who can benefit from the Guiding Voice. And now let's hop into the trivia segment. And today's trivia is about energy, having had some wonderful discussion with Peter on how startups and how industries can contribute to the sustainability and protecting the environment. I thought I would present a few facts related to energy. And here comes the first one. America uses about 15 times more energy per person than the typical developing country. And second one is, a heavy coat of dust on a light bulb can block up to half of the light. And when you turn on an incandescent light bulb, only 10% of the electricity used is turned into light, and other 90% is wasted as heat. That's why it is better to go for LED lights, which are lighter on energy consumption and have longer shelf life. And folks, if you have any interesting tips around saving the energy, please feel free to share them on YouTube if you are watching the video, or if you are listening to it on audio platform, please feel free to leave your comment on social media wherever you have found this episode. And not only that, you can also feel free to share your topic recommendations and guest speaker suggestions through social media, or email me at theguidingvoiceforyou@gmail.com. That's all for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm your host, Naveen Samala, just a fellow professional and a passionate learner on a mission to make the world a better place to live through conversations that matter and conversations that add value to your life and to your career. Until next time, bye-bye. Signing off for now. See you all in the next episode with another amazing guest.